You have 5 minutes.
Thanks, John Corla. I think the proposition before us is an affront to the concept of our neutrality. It is in line with other daily occurrences where we see the US military using our airport in Shannon in spite of our neutrality. We see other examples where even Irish Defence Forces personnel are sent and kept in Afghanistan to support NATO-led initiatives, resolute support mission, and so on. And we're told that these initiatives are taken in countries like Afghanistan to ensure the security of the population and support its government. The reality is that our troops have been present in these countries, a country where the government, so-called, has really no mandate or say, and in fact that country is divided between ISIS on the one hand and the Taliban on the other, and we should have no hand to act or part in participating here, no more than we should have in the idea of participating in the EU battle groups. Now, we know that these groups were initially established with 1,500 combat soldiers assigned to each one. The point has been made that to allow for backup and rotation, there was another 7 to 9 soldiers for each combat soldier. So a battle group, in effect, is a military force of 12,000 troops. We know the numbers have extended from their original concept and the size increased to over 3,000. So in essence, given that 2 are made ready every 6 months or so, in effect the EU is developing an armed force of almost 50,000 troops ready to be sent anywhere in the world. Happy days for the arms industry, who are the main beneficiaries of this situation. Now, we know, and the record is well known, that EU battle groups, of course, could be used to go to war. Why else would they have been established in the first place? And generally, they were initiated on the basis of being nationally based or made up of troops from adjoining countries, which would lead Britain to be the logical ally for Ireland in that context. But of course, you had a problem when Fianna Fáil were in power when this originally came around, because the idea of Irish troops fighting alongside those from Great Britain was an anathema really at that time and couldn't really be envisaged. Obviously, Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael supported the Good Friday Agreement and believed that eventually the time would be right when this proposition could be considered. And clearly now the government thinks that now the time is right. Well, I certainly amn't a nationalist. I have no interest in nationalism whatsoever. I'm an internationalist and someone who believes profoundly in our neutrality. So whether we join a UK battle group or we join the Russian forces or the American forces, it doesn't matter to me. They're all the same as far as I'm concerned. But there is a certain irony in the idea that in 2016 we would be aligning ourselves with a UK battle group 100 years on, when the likes of John Redmond sent 50,000 young Irish men to be slaughtered in World War I as part of the British Army. And as a pacifist, I find that absolutely reprehensible. It is a fact that NATO and the EU battle groups are synonymous, one and the other, and they are the new breed of enforcing imperial power, and we as a neutral country should have no part in that whatsoever. We only have to look at the words of the UK Minister of Defence in 2005 in a letter to the House of Commons, when he described the UK battle groups as being mutually reinforcing with the larger NATO response force and having the potential to act as a stepping stone for countries that want to contribute to the NATO response force by developing their high readiness forces to the required standard and integrating small countries' contribution to the multinational units. Wherever possible and applicable, standards, practical methods and procedures for battle groups are analogous to those defined in the NATO RF. Correctly managed, there is considerable potential for synergy between the two initiatives. That's what we're talking about, and that is the end game in these battle groups. A link between NATO and EU military formations are confirmed. The battle groups allow small countries such as Ireland to become integrated in those structures in a manner which they wouldn't be otherwise. And other EU countries like Malta and Denmark have no part in these formations. We should have none either, and I strenuously oppose the initiative.